Embrace the suck. It's not a word that I like using. It's not a frame. It's not it's not necessarily a term or a moniker that I enjoy using, but the military uses it, and so does Nancy Pelosi, and so did Nancy Pelosi. And I got to tell you, I think we as conservatives have a lot to learn, even from the likes of a Nancy Pelosi. Let me explain. Nancy Pelosi to Democrats on reconciliation, embrace the suck. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Democrat from California, obviously told her fellow Democrats on Friday to embrace the suck when it comes to the $3.5 trillion reconciliation package her party is using as a Trojan horse to quickly pass radical ideas, according to Political. The same reporter claimed Pelosi also reiterated the 4P priorities to the Democrats in the call: policy, priority in the spending, pay-fors, and parliamentarian. Pelosi, or embrace the suck, which is a term Pelosi borrowed from the military, is a raw epigram based on encyclopedic experience. Face it, soldier, I've been there. This ain't easy. Now let's deal with it. Pelosi has been trying to convince the Democrats to follow suit and vote on the Trojan horse package in order for her to pass a wide range of radical ideals. This according to Breitbart News. Sean Moran. House Democrats proposed a new reconciliation bill on Tuesday night. The Senate Democrats and the Biden White House believe would cost more than the proposed $3.5 trillion for the Democrats' infrastructure bill. This would likely exceed the spending authorized through the Democrats' budget resolution, which both Democrat-controlled chambers approved recently. Democrats in Congress's lower chamber dispute this notion, contending that their new proposal falls in line with the reconciliation instructions. In response to Pelosi telling her fellow caucus members to, quote, embrace the suck, unquote, the National Republican Congressional Committee spokesman Mike Berg said, vulnerable Democrats who vote for trillions in reckless spending and massive tax hikes will definitely be embracing the suck in the midterms. A recent poll from the American Action Network was conducted in 7 key congressional districts, and I went over that with you right here on the Larry Elder Show, that can define the House in the 2020 midterm election. It found that Biden's approval ratings have dropped significantly. They were under 40%. In addition, Americans are unhappy with Biden's socialist Build Back Better agenda and the $3.5 trillion partisan wish list the Democrats are proposing will only increase the economic pain families are already feeling. Overall, the poll found that Biden's net approval averages -7, with 44% approval, 51% disapproval. A generic Republican on the ballot also leads in all 7 districts, going up against the Democrat incumbent by 6% on average. And on average, most Americans, 51%, as a matter of fact, also believe the government spending is to blame for the increase in inflation. This includes the majority of the American voters that disapprove of the left spending plan and Biden's socialist Build Back Better agenda, respectively 55% and 54%. Interestingly enough, 47% of the respondents said they believe the $3.5 trillion partisan wish list will make the rising costs families face even worse. A majority, 55% of the respondents, do not want to raise taxes to pay for it. Democrats are going to do their best to raise taxes. I'm telling you, and I've told you before, I've told you time and again on this show, and I hope it doesn't sound like a broken record, but honestly, if it does, so be it. I'm just trying to speak truth to you. And the fact of the matter is things are going to get tough. So what do I say? Let's act like Democrats. Let's embrace the suck. This is the one thing that I must admit I admire about the Democrats. See, even Joe Manchin is playing this sly game. And you know what? Again, I hate to say this, but I'm somewhat thankful for Joe Manchin because it almost appears as if he's buying time to kick some of the radicals out of office. That's yet to be seen. And he says, yeah, you know what? If I can't explain this bill to my constituents, I don't want to vote for it. He wants less spending. But I haven't heard Joe Manchin say, and maybe that I'm wrong, but I haven't heard Joe Manchin say, you know what? I don't want any of this stuff the radical left is offering. Maybe I missed that. I'm not sure. I'll have to go back. I don't suspect Joe Manchin is a radical. I don't think he's as moderate as people like to claim. But I don't think he's a radical, if you will. But here's the deal. There's a scripture that says, and the reason why I bring this up, I have to say that I can't stand what the Democrats believe, but I admire how they fight. I wish Republicans would do the same. I wish we had Republicans that would say, you know what, embrace the suck. We're going to make America first policies, the agenda, of the nation. We're going to put Americans first. We're going to put national security first. We're going to put our economy first. We're going to do all these things first to make sure that America is strong. I wish we had Republicans that would say, embrace the suck. But I say all of that to say this. I think, and I say this as a Christian conservative American that happens to be black, I say that amongst religious people, whether you're Christian, Jewish, basically Christian and Jewish, Catholic, what have you, Judeo-Christian value system. I think we have this notion in our head that in order to be good people, we need to be liked by everybody. In order to be good Christians or good Jews or good Catholics, we have to be liked by everybody. And that's just nonsensical, and it's not biblical. And I think part of the reason why we behave and believe the way that we do oftentimes, especially when it comes to fighting back and pushing back against radical left godless agendas, is because we embrace God's love. We talk about God's love. It's easy to talk about God's love, right? It's easy to be loving. You even have leftists that have never opened the Bible, cracked the Bible open, that'll quote scriptures to you: judge not lest you be judged. They don't realize that it says, judge not lest you be judged. For the same manner in which you judge, you should be judged. Meaning, don't judge somebody for something you yourself are guilty of. That's what that means. The Bible never says do not judge. Of course you judge. We judge all the time. You know what I mean? If you're walking by a corner and you see two drug dealers selling drugs, you're probably going to go the other way. If you're scared of certain dogs, and some little kid is handling a pit bull that's barking at you, you're probably going to make a judgment call. You know what I mean? We judge all the time. And it's natural to judge. But what is wrong is to judge unscripturally. What is wrong to judge someone for something you yourself are guilty of yourself. So the Bible says, hey, clear that up in your own life, and then you can feel free to judge in that particular area. You can chastise people, you can encourage people, so on, etc. That's all that means. There's also a scripture that reads this, and this is very important. And this is all political, in my opinion, or I'll take it back to politics. There's a scripture in John 15:18-19 that says, if the world hates you, remember that it hated me first. The world would love you as one of its own if you belong to it, but you are no longer part of the world. I chose you to come out of the world, so it hates you. So it hates you. I think what we have to understand as conservatives, as people that believe in our Judeo-Christian heritage, it is time to embrace the suck. It is time. Larry Elder has done that, and we're going to play some clips for you. And running for governor, Larry Elder being called all types of names, having an egg thrown at him by a woman in a gorilla mask, so on, etc. He's decided to embrace the suck because at the end of the suck, if you will, there's a better way of life. I've heard plenty of people talk about unity. I've overheard, and we'll get to this on the other side. But I've heard, a bunch of talking heads talk about unity. Will America ever be the same, or the same way that it was after 9/11? And I'm going to tell you, no, that is impossible. At least not right now. The only way that will be possible in the future is if conservatives, people of faith, people that love patriots, embrace the suck. And I'm going to explain that further on the other side. This is Carl Jackson filling in for the great Eldersky. We'll be back.
Family can pick you up every time you fall.
Every time I take one step forward.
When Wright came in this morning, he wants to fight you.
No one expected this out of him.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
I grew up poor, which is even worse than being poor.
We would have sandwiches with no meat.
My American dream entailed working hard and making $20,000 a year. But I surpassed that goal and became a corporate CEO.
We'll all be able to say, free at last, free at last.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on The Dennis Prager Show.
I would like my fellow conservatives, the majority of whom wanted to leave Afghanistan, to be as intellectually honest as I demand the left is. You must say, I am for the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. If you do not say that, you are a conservative who is not being honest. You cannot say, I am for leaving Afghanistan, but I am against the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. Then you are deluding yourself, and a conservative should never do that. That should be the monopoly of the left. It's equivalent to men give birth, okay? To deny that the Taliban, that you are giving Afghanistan over to the Taliban if you leave.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on The Mike Gallagher Show.
I would say that this is now on track, Peter, to be the largest airlift in U.S. history. And that is bringing American citizens out. It is bringing our Afghan partners out. It is bringing allies out. So no, I would not say that is anything but a success.
Okay.
As the kids would say, OMG. Yeah, we have an extensive vetting process. Sure we do. I've been to the border, lady. No, you don't. No, you don't. But again, back to Kamala Harris. There she is trying to escape this mess by hiding out in Singapore. But there are reporters there, too.
To that end, we have seen a successful drawdown of the embassy, and thankfully, without any American casualties. We have seen thousands of people who have been evacuated from the airport in Afghanistan, where the United States military doing very hard and difficult work.
Yeah, it's very difficult to get all those Afghans out of Afghanistan. Again, let me read the numbers to you. This was leaked, and it's on the Federalist. We've got the whole article posted at MikeOnline.com. According to this leaked information from the U.S. State Department, the evacuation numbers, within 15-hour period of time, August 23rd, midnight to 3 p.m., the United States evacuated a total of 6,916 people. Only 483 were Americans. The vast majority were Afghan nationals, 6,425.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on The Charlie Kirk Show.
Afghanistan continues to be a mess, and Americans are stranded.
All right, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. The number to call in, 888-971-7243, 888-971-7243. We're talking about embracing the suck, if you will. And embracing the suck, this is something that conservatives and Republicans have to embrace if we're going to get anywhere. Again, we've heard conversations, all of us have heard conversations pre and now post 9/11, and we're all wondering how we can get back to 9/12. We're all wondering if there can be we can have that feeling where all Americans are united. And the simple answer is no. And I'm not saying this to try to discourage you, or the truth of the matter is, let's look at it. Why was it that we were so what took unity? Why was it that we were so united on 9/12? We were so united on 9/12, 9/11 and 9/12. We became so united because tragedy hit. And I want you to hear this. I want you to understand this, because it's I think as Americans, oftentimes we've become so coddled. We've become so spoiled. That's why we have issues like white privilege and CRT. running rampant in our college campuses because we've become so spoiled, or children have become so spoiled. We have it so great in America that we have to make up fake atrocities. We have to make up fake grievances. But I can tell you, unity typically comes after some type of major catastrophe, whether it be World War I, whether it be World War II and defeating Nazi Germany. There's all this unity in the country. Civil rights movement, Martin Luther King, blacks being beat, dogs, German shepherds being sicked on blacks by Democrats, by the way, in the South. And then America sees this stuff on TV. They visually see it now. This has got to change. Americans begin to unite. Right here in Florida, I've been through plenty of hurricanes, major storms where neighbors that I don't typically talk to or hardly even see, one of these bad boys hit, trees are down, branches down all over the place. I mean, roof shingles all over the street, all in the yards, neighbors helping neighbors. The same, whether it's in Louisiana, New Orleans. Typically, unity comes after there's some type of major cataclysmic event. And the truth of the matter is, if we want unity in the United States, then what we need to do as conservatives, what we need to do as Republicans is step up to the plate and embrace the suck. And the suck means that if we stand for our values, if we stand for our principles, we may lose some friends. We may not always get along with family members, although I would say do your best to get along with family members, even if it means avoiding conversations of politics. Never God. I think it's really stupid to avoid conversations on God. I think that's, I hear people say that all the time. I just think that's foolish. But if you need to avoid conversations on politics, I fully understand around the family. But for the most part, if we're going to have unity, we're gonna have to crush the left, because I think there are some moderate Democrats, if you will, in the closet that want to come out of the closet, but they're too scared because the AOCs have way too much control. The Rashida Tlaibs, the George Soroses of the world that are funding these people. But I think there are some moderate Democrats that want to come out of the closet. Think about this. The KKK, you know what I hate about these groups? Think about these groups that are so worthless. Black Panthers, KKK, Uncle BLM. All of these groups are so worthless. This is why they're so worthless. If white people didn't exist, Uncle BLM would be a totally worthless group. If black people didn't exist, the KKK would be totally worthless. They would be totally devoid of meaning. I would never want to be a part of a group that's infused with so much hate that if one ethnicity or dropped off the planet, I would literally have no meaning or no purpose in my life. So racist people are they're just dumb people. I would never want to be a part of any of those groups. So I think this is why it's important to push back on these groups. If you're called a racist for speaking truth, you know what? Speak truth anyway. Don't be a jerk about it. If you're a religious person, or maybe you're just kind of timid. You've never done this before. You know what? We're fighting for this country. Don't be afraid to say something. Or you might be afraid initially, but the more you practice, the more you speak out, the easier it becomes. Hat tip to Sean. He shared this story with me. Nancy Pelosi, you guys won't believe this. You guys already are probably in shock that I'm saying I admire Nancy Pelosi's willingness to embrace the suck. But she also says this. Nancy Pelosi angers Dems. Hat tip to Sean sent me this from BizPack. Angers Dems after saying America needs a big, strong Republican Party. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi angered members of her Democratic base after she said that there ought to be a big, strong Republican Party. This was at the event over the weekend. The California Democrat made her remarks in a video clip posted online by The Hill, then went viral and drew immediate pushback from her party's left-wing supporters. She said, I say to my Republican friends, take back your party. The country needs a big, strong Republican Party. And I say that as a leader in the Democratic Party. Pelosi said last week at an event at Smith College in Northampton, Massachusetts. You know what's absolutely crazy about this? I believe her. She goes on to say, don't have it be a cult of personality on the extreme right. Oh, okay. She added a possible reference to supporters for President Donald Trump. This isn't about liberal or conservative. It's about radical. Shall we say they don't believe in governance? Okay, now that I totally disagree with. But nonetheless, Pelosi went on to say that Americans who oppose the science of COVID restrictions and mandates like wearing masks don't believe in governance. But it was her comments about a strong GOP that earned her the enmity of her political base. Pelosi says this every few months because she means it. She values reasonable Republicans as a way to tamp down lefties in her caucus. Emma Vigeland, formerly with the Young Turks, a far-left news and commentary program, wrote on Twitter, without a GOP to work with, who would pump the brakes on meaningful progress that might cut into profits or wealthy pockets, including hers? But this is funny. Now, Nancy Pelosi is a radical leftist, all right? But I think she understands how important it is to make sure that we have divided government. Divided government is very important. Divided government gives us balance. It's one of the reasons California stinks so much. There isn't enough divided governance. Out in California, here you guys, have Larry Elder, and we'll get into this story because now actress Rose McGowan has actually endorsed Larry Elder. You guys don't even have divided government out there because Republicans and Democrats can't debate. Californians are not allowed to hear two sides of an issue. All they're allowed to hear are Republicans bad, racist, evil, global warming, all this kind of stuff. Meanwhile, all the bad things that are happening in California that Democrats say Republicans would cause, you have greasy Gavin Newsom causing them, and there's no pushback. But now there's some pushback from Larry Elder. And Larry Elder is embracing the suck for you Californians. So I would say dare to embrace the suck right along with them and take back California. We'll be back in a few.
miss my father, and I want him to be here with me, but he's not.
We all had something in common. A lot of us were miserable. We had no fathers in our lives.
Blaze, now of course my laptop would not. Okay, so Piers Morgan is calling in to transport insanity before it ends up killing a woman. So a British commentator, you guys know Piers Morgan, castigated the idea of biological males competing in women's sports as transgender women after a special forces combat veteran demolished a biologically female MMA fighter during a Friday match. Guys, let me say this. For a very short period of time, I practiced MMA, BJJ, and MMA, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in MMA. It wasn't long. I was just working too much. I couldn't keep it going. But I did it for, I don't know, probably 8-9 months or whatever, just to get a feel for it. And I started getting pretty good at it because where I trained, American Top Team, there was always someone available with a higher belt, so you could always, practice and learn. And I would sit back and I would just try to, soak it in and learn as much as I could. And there were girls there that are really good. I mean, girls that'll probably, kill the average guy once they rise higher in the belt rankings, if you will. But there was always a scenario where it was, I mean, almost every single time there would be someone that's probably I don't know, like a blue belt even. And then some kid or young man would come in that maybe went into the military at, 18, 19 years old. He comes in, no training ever in MMA. And sometimes they'd spar against girls and this and that. And then just the mere strength would make it so difficult for this person that's been training for quite some time doing jiu-jitsu, because it's just... for a woman to compete against a male on the same level, it's just impossible. And quite frankly, even with some extensive training, until they get higher and higher in the belt, it was extremely difficult for females to beat men. It's just, that's just the way that it is. Now, female to female, they will straight kill a woman. And in some cases, I would say men too. But it's just absolute nonsense. This is another thing. Embrace the suck. This is just wrong. This guy demolished a female by punching her out in the face. This is wrong. Speak up against this. I'm sorry. Men cannot be women and women cannot be men. I can say that not because I'm transphobic, but because I'm pro-science. This is absolute. This is just ludicrous. All right. Now get it. Oh, also, and this. I'm sorry. I'm going to. This is pretty cool. Larry Elder had a sign up on top of a liquor store that says, "We have a strip to save." Forgotten Man sent me that. That's pretty hilarious. And then you have this story. This was from Newsweek earlier in the week, and this is why I say embrace the suck. Members of Congress and their staff are exempt from Biden's vaccine mandate. Illegal aliens are exempt from the mandate. Guys, we got to speak up. We got to say something. We got to call our congressmen. We got to call our senators. We have to speak up. We can't be timid anymore. We can't sit back and just say, voting is enough. Sure, we should vote. But we should also call our congressmen, our senators, when it comes to speaking up around friends. We should do so. We should be free to share what we believe. This is America. We have a First Amendment right, just like left-wingers do. Left-wingers are quick to share what they believe because they believe it. Well, share what you believe. Hey, I'm sorry, I just disagree with that for A, B, and C. You don't have to get in an argument. You don't have to get in a debate. The truth of the matter is sometimes conservatives just need to speak up more. Ooh, by the way, in the third hour, let me say this. You're not going to want to go anywhere from the third hour. The second hour is going to be cool, too. I'm going to speak with my buddy Christopher Hart of the American Adversaries. I got my start on radio with him. We're going to talk about a couple of issues, including gorillas and where was it at? In Atlanta Zoo catching COVID. In the third hour, I'm going to prove to you that the pandemic is over. It's over. I mean, it is just over. It is finito. But now I want to go back to this issue of embracing the suck. You guys know former President George W. Bush compares the Taliban to the 1-6 protesters. All right, this is nonsense. I can't believe this. I'm so disappointed. Let me here's okay. So George Bush compares the 1-6 protesters. He didn't call them 1-6 protesters, but that's what he did, virtually till the Taliban. Let me give you some stories from the religion of peace. All right, let me say this. Let me make it emphatically clear. Islamic radicals are terrorists, they're murderers, and they deserve to be shot in the head with a bullet. I'll explain this on the other side, and then we'll finally get to Larry Elder.
Miss my father, and I want him to be here with me, but he's not.
We all had something in common. A lot of us were miserable. We had no fathers in our lives.
This is how I began the life of crime. I desired to have a father who would tell me that what I did was wrong.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
I think this family can pick you up every time you fall.
Every time I take one step forward.
When Wright came in this morning, he wants to fight you.
No one expected this out of him.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
I grew up poor, which is even worse than being poor.
We would have sandwiches with no meat.
My American dream entailed working hard and making $20,000 a year. But I surpassed that goal and became a corporate CEO.
We'll all be able to say, free at last, free at last.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
I would like my fellow conservatives, the majority of whom wanted to leave Afghanistan, to be as intellectually honest as I demand the left is. You must say, I am for the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. If you do not say that, you are a conservative who is not being honest. You cannot say, I am for leaving Afghanistan, but I am against the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. Then you are deluding yourself, and a conservative should never do that. That should be the monopoly of the left. It's equivalent to men give birth, okay? To deny that the Taliban, that you are giving Afghanistan over to the Taliban if you leave.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
I would say that this is now on track, Peter, to be the largest airlift in U.S. history. And that is bringing American citizens out. It is bringing our Afghan partners out. It is bringing allies out. So no, I would not say that is anything but a success.
Okay. As the kids would say, OMG. Yeah, we have an extensive vetting process. Sure we do. I've been to the border, lady. No, you don't. No, you don't. But again, back to Kamala Harris. There she is trying to escape this mess by hiding out in Singapore. But there are reporters there, too.
To that end, we have seen a successful drawdown of the embassy, and thankfully, without any American casualties. We have seen thousands of people who have been evacuated from the airport in Afghanistan, where the United States military doing very hard and difficult work.
Yeah, it's very difficult to get all those Afghans out of Afghanistan. Again, let me read the numbers to you. This was leaked, and it's on the Federalist. We've got the whole article posted at mikeonline.com. According to this leaked information from the U.S. State Department, the evacuation numbers, within 15-hour period of time, August 23rd, midnight to 3 p.m.
All right, so just for the record, unity will come when we crush the left. It's not going to come before. There isn't going to be a 9-12. We don't have as many people that love America in the country anymore. The left has done a bang-up job of destroying the minds of our kids and apparently former presidents of the United States. So George W. Bush, and I got to tell you, I love George W. Bush. I thought he was the right man for the right time in office. Hindsight 2020. After 9/11, I'm not so sure. I mean, his speech this weekend was just absolutely ridiculous. To compare 1-6 protesters, who the vast majority of them are being charged with misdemeanors for trespassing, and then you have the Biden administration, the Biden Department of Justice trying to, squeeze them and get them to accept obstruction charges so that they can give them a felony and absolutely destroy their lives. This is nothing in comparison. Let me talk to you about the religion of peace, this Islam, all right? September 13, 2015, Kakamega, Kenya, a 9-year-old girl is beaten to death over not being able to recite the Quran. On 9/9/2021, just recently here, the brother of the former VP is tortured to death by the Taliban along with his driver. 9/7 of this year, a boy is killed by Taliban gunmen during a protest. 9/5 of this year, at least 13 local cops are killed in brutal attack by jihadists. We all know what happened to our American soldiers over there. On 9/4, 30 civilians are massacred by ADF jihadists with machetes. On 9/4, the Taliban murder a pregnant policewoman in front of her family, and then they mutilate her, literally tearing out her brain. George W. Bush, are you telling me that 1-6 protesters are as sick as these people? Guys, I'm sorry. Embrace the suck. Radical Islam sucks. They should all be killed. They should have a cap popped in their behinds. The fact that this man would even say that sickens me. It is so disappointing. It is utter nonsense. Utter nonsense. I'm in shock. It's just ridiculous. And then I got to give credit to this lady, this actress, Rose McGowan. She came out and she has endorsed Larry Elder. Now, of course, we all know Larry Elder. We know Larry Elder is a man of integrity. We know Larry Elder is a man of courage. Larry Elder has decided to embrace the suck. You guys heard me interview him last week, and he said, I asked him point blank, Larry, why would you leave this lucrative job behind and decide to run for, to run for governor? He says, listen, I felt like basically, and I'm paraphrasing, I was called to do this. I felt like I had an obligation to do this because I think I can. Thank you, Sean. It was bigger than he was. So he had an obligation to do something about it. And he knows that with his policies, he could fix California if given a shot to do so. But he knows with that, it's going to come some persecution, some name calling, eggs being thrown at you. Los Angeles Times calling them the black face of white supremacy. What a racist thing to say. I'm sure the lady that wrote that is employed by white supremacists. What a moron. This lady was that wrote that. But in Jean Guerrero, what a moron. Jean Guerrero, you're a moron. Oh man, all right. Let's go ahead and hear this clip of Jean Guerrero. Sean wants to make me throw up, so let's go ahead and do it. Brian Stelter. Speaking of eggs. Did you hear this lady say anything of substance? This is a reporter for the LA Times. Did you hear her say anything of substance? Since when is making housing affordable white supremacy? Now, Larry Elder didn't refuse to answer questions from these morons. I watched a video of him talking to some of the editors, I believe it was, of the Los Angeles Times. And these people were so cavalier and just, whatever. So disrespectful, in my opinion. And Larry Elder was talking to them about certain issues and things that he did and things that, he wanted to accomplish for California. And he blatantly asked them, hey, listen, I've done this, A, B, C, and D. You guys have never reported on me. Not even a bad article. And then this article pops up. But you notice this is what the left does. They just speak in platitudes. White supremacy. What is white supremacy? Making sure that ethnic groups of all Californians can afford housing. That's white supremacy. Making sure California doesn't burn down. That's an element of white supremacy. Making sure that you guys save water in your water reservoirs. That's white supremacy. See, these morons, they go to college, they get indoctrinated by these left-wing radicals, and they come out and spew a bunch of crap because they don't live in the real world. This lady is a moron. Jean Guerrero, you're a moron. We'll be back.
Family can pick you up every time you fall.
Every time I take one step forward.
When Wright came in this morning, he wants to fight you.
No one expected this out of him.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
I grew up poor, which is even worse than being poor.
We would have sandwiches with no meat.
My American dream entailed working hard and making $20,000 a year. But I surpassed that goal and became a corporate CEO.
We'll all be able to say, free at last, free at last.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
I would like my fellow conservatives, the majority of whom wanted to leave Afghanistan, to be as intellectually honest as I demand the left is. You must say, I am for the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. If you do not say that, you are a conservative who is not being honest. You cannot say, I am for leaving Afghanistan, but I am against the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. Then you are deluding yourself, and a conservative should never do that. That should be the monopoly of the left. It's equivalent to men give birth, okay? To deny that the Taliban, that you are giving Afghanistan over to the Taliban if you leave.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
I would say that this is now on track, Peter, to be the largest airlift in U.S. history. And that is bringing American citizens out. It is bringing our Afghan partners out. It is bringing allies out. So no, I would not say that is anything but a success.
Okay. As the kids would say, OMG. Yeah, we have an extensive vetting process. Sure we do. I've been to the border, lady. No, you don't. No, you don't. But again, back to Kamala Harris. There she is trying to escape this mess by hiding out in Singapore. But there are reporters there, too.
To that end, we have seen a successful drawdown of the embassy, and thankfully, without any American casualties. We have seen thousands of people who have been
Cry Macho. Warner Brothers Pictures presents Cry Macho. From legendary director Clint Eastwood comes a story of being lost and found. Eastwood returns as a one-time rodeo star and a washed-up horse breeder who takes a job to bring back a man's young son home from Mexico. The unlikely pair face an unexpectedly challenging journey. The only road home is through redemption. See it in theaters and on HBO Max for 31 days beginning September 17th. It is rated PG-13. Cry Macho. All right, I look forward to checking that out. Now, getting back to this issue at hand, embrace the suck. And guys, forgive my language. I don't mean to. When I heard Nancy Pelosi say this is a military term, something they use in, obviously use in the military during basic training, so on, etc. But it's very important, and more people are starting to do it, including this actress, Rose McGowan. Sean, would you play audio clip number 7 for me, please?
So I ask you today, do you want to keep living this collective lie? Do you want to star in their movie? Or do you want to be real? Do I agree with him on all points? No. So what? He is the better candidate. He is the better man.
And then, so this lady, she has to be brave. This is a lady who's not a Republican. This is a lady in Hollywood who's an actress. We have tons of audio clips that I'm going to play for you throughout the show, because we'll be peppering this in and talking about this. But this takes bravery. This is a lady who's going to have to embrace the suck. Why? Because she likes California. So she's saying there's something bigger than me. California is the disaster with this man in charge. You have these people, and Sean makes a great point during the break. You have these people, you have the people on the left that talk about white privilege all the time. Oh, white privilege, white privilege, white privilege. And then they elect Gavin Newsom, extremely wealthy white guy. They elect Biden, wealthy, corrupt as all get out. They vote for Biden. And then, you're a bad, when you have to bring in Joe Biden to campaign for you, what does that say about you? This was a man in Gavin Newsom who they thought would be the black or the white Barack Obama in the future. Now the guy is fighting for his political life, and he's so bad. In fact, all he was a picture. All he was a picture. He looks good in a picture. You know what I mean? He looks like he could be what is it? Like a American Eagle, Abercrombie and Fitch, whatever. He could be, one of their models. But the guy doesn't have anything between his ears. This is insane. So he is so bad. He is so bad that he has to bring in who's arguably the person that's arguably the worst president in United States history to campaign for him. That's how bad Gavin Newsom is. These people, the Democrat Party, are a joke. Guys, electelder.com, electelder.com, electelder.com. We'll be back on the other side.
You should be able to share ideas without fear of being fired from your job or shouted down.
You are not to be heard. This is one of the few things we have no precedent for in the United States.
You have the right to remain silent.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Man, I miss my father, and I want him to be here with me. But he's not.
We all had something in common. A lot of us were miserable. We had no fathers in our lives.
This is how I began the life of crime. I desired to have a father who would tell me that what I did was wrong.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
I think this family can pick you up every time you fall.
Every time I take one step forward.
Dylan Wright came in this morning. He wants to fight you.
No one expected this out of him.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
I grew up poor, which is even worse than being poor.
We would have sandwiches with no meat.
My American dream entailed working hard and making $20,000 a year. But I surpassed that goal and became a corporate CEO.
we'll all be able to say, free at last, free at last.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
I would like my fellow conservatives, the majority of whom wanted to leave Afghanistan, to be as intellectually honest as I demand the left is. You must say, I am for the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. If you do not say that, you are a conservative who is not being honest. You cannot say, I am for leaving Afghanistan, but I am against the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. Then you are deluding yourself, and a conservative should never do that. That should be the monopoly of the left. It's equivalent to men give birth, okay? To deny that the Taliban, that you are giving Afghanistan over to the Taliban if you leave.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
I would say that this is now on track, Peter, to be the largest airlift in U.S. history. And that is bringing American citizens out. It is bringing our Afghan partners out. It is bringing allies out. So no, I would not say that is anything but a success.
Okay. As the kids would say, OMG. Yeah, we have an extensive vetting process. Sure we do. I've been to the border, lady. No, you don't. No, you don't. But again, back to Kamala Harris. There she is trying to escape this mess by hiding out in Singapore. But there are reporters there, too.
To that end, we have seen a successful drawdown of the embassy, and thankfully, without any American casualties. We have seen thousands of people who have been evacuated from the airport in Afghanistan, where the United States military doing very hard and difficult work.
It's very difficult to get all those Afghans out of Afghanistan. Again, let me read the numbers to you. This was leaked, and it's on the Federalist. We've got the whole article posted at mikeonline.com. According to this leaked information from the U.S. State Department, the evacuation numbers, within 15-hour period of time, August 23rd, midnight to 3 p.m., the United States evacuated a total of 6,916 people. Only 483 were Americans. The vast majority were Afghan nationals, 6,425.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on the Charlie Kirk Show.
Afghanistan continues to be a mess, and Americans are stranded in Afghanistan, and our government is uncertain what to do. We have some exclusive frontline updates from Afghanistan to share with you, including how private contractors and private citizens are stepping up and doing the job that our government refuses to do. And also, we're going to go into great detail all of the weapons that we have left behind in Afghanistan. And it's not just bullets and guns. It is some of the most sophisticated, top-level weaponry. We're going to get into all of that and the cost associated with it.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on the Hugh Hewitt Show.
Jen Psaki, the pressure is getting to her, questioned by Peter Doocy, a famous clip already, cut number 11.
But does the president have a sense that most of the criticism is not of leaving Afghanistan, it's the way that he has ordered it to happen by pulling the troops before getting these Americans who are now stranded? Does he have a sense of that?
First of all, I think it's irresponsible to say Americans are stranded. They are not. We are committed to bringing Americans who want to come home. We are in touch with them via phone, via text, via email, via any way that we can possibly reach Americans to.
Jake Tapper thinks they're stranded on CNN, cut number 4.
Look, I understand that people are working long hours in the White House, the National Security Council, State Department, Pentagon, and over in Kabul to get Americans out of that country. And I understand the White House wanting to reassure the nation that all Americans will ultimately be evacuated. But there are no doubt Americans who feel stranded in Afghanistan right now.
Of course there are. It's absurd for the White House, and it tells you something about Joe Biden. Britt Hume was on with our friend Guy Benson on his radio show yesterday, said this, cut number 1.
But anybody who ever heard him speak for any length of time could tell this guy, this was not the sharpest knife in the drawer. And, he could talk forever and was famous for it. But you never had the sense that he was terribly smart. And on top of that, now he's mental.
All right, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. The number to call in to the ReliefFactor.com studio is 888-971-7243. 888-971-7243. By the way, you can find me on Twitter at Carl Jackson Show, Facebook, Carl Jackson Radio, Instagram, The Carl Jackson Show on Instagram. Listen, when it comes to, I don't care if we're talking about Biden, Gavin Newsom, I'm going to borrow the old Rush Limbaugh line. I hope he fails. And we could talk about, we can apply that to Gavin Newsom. We can apply that to Joe Biden. I hope they both fail. As a matter of fact, Gavin Newsom has already failed. But you have people like this reporter, this Gene Guerrero of the LA Times, that talks about Larry Elder and how he wants to get rid of, what was it, social justice something, or I mean, just a bunch of platitudes. This no real life experience. I guarantee you, this lady exists in a bubble. She went to college where she continued her life in a bubble, and then she got a job at the LA Times, which are full of reporters that live in a left-wing bubble. I mean, it's insane. So 75%, if I recall correctly, of the blacks in California read below proficiency level, read below grade level. And Larry Elder wants to improve that. And that's a racist. It's astonishing to me. The left destroys America. The left destroys people. And I say this time and time again. The left succeeds when you fail. They want to keep you in a permanent underclass, and they want to keep you stupid as best as possible because they want you to be able to rely on them. The mistake that they made this time in the White House is that they actually elected, I don't know how you do this, but they actually elected someone that's dumber than them. It's astounding to me where we're at. So again, my motto for this show has been, or my theme for this show has been, embrace the suck. And we'll get into this in the third hour. But did you know that a New York hospital is pausing baby deliveries because nurses have quit over the vaccine mandate? These nurses have decided to forego their income to make a stand. Now, I'm not suggesting that everyone do that. Not everyone can do that. But we'll talk about this in the third hour. But more and more people are starting to say, I've had enough of this stuff. California, when will it be enough? Right now, I know you guys are facing voting irregularities and all that kind of stuff. But no matter what happens tomorrow, come what may, no matter what happens, good or bad, embrace the suck. Because even if Elder wins, the left are going to do everything possible to undermine his policies. And it's going to be up to you guys to stand up. If you want to save America, from what I understand, Rick Grinnell's group, there's 1.3 million registered Republicans inside of the state of California that don't vote. You simply given up. And the problem is people just haven't heard your voice. You can't give up. You can't give up. If you give up, the entire United States will be like California. You know what I mean? That's my home state. I love California, but it's been destroyed under the leadership of Democrats. And again, you guys have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It doesn't matter what happens. Polls, I believe, are meant to shape this election. If Gavin Newsom weren't in trouble, he wouldn't be so desperate as to have Joe Biden campaigning for him. The guy is desperate. Kamala Harris, trust me, they never believed they would have to go out and campaign for California or campaign to help Gavin Newsom try to remain in office in California. They never thought that in a million years, and now it's happening. So no matter what happens, win or lose, stay in the fight. Rick Grinnell with Fix California, stay in the fight. Let's play some more audio clips for you. And by the way, the number to call in, 888-971-7243, 888-971-7243. At the bottom of the hour, I'm going to have the guy on that gave me my start in radio right here locally, Christopher Hart of the American Adversaries, and he has a very successful local program. He is the Drive Time show here in the afternoon. He and my buddy Nostradamus and Johnny Guns, Lair Adams all started this show, and they've had other guys kind of come in between, but just a great guy. And we'll talk about the California recall. We'll talk about these gorillas in the Atlanta Zoo catching COVID. Just ridiculous. NFL, Black National Anthem. We'll get into all that stuff. Right now, let me play a couple audio clips for you because, again, this is a man, Larry Elder, who's decided for the embetterment of all Californians, he would embrace the suck. There's a lot of people that have stepped up to the plate, and I understand that are running 40-something odd people in there. But let's just be honest about it. And I don't try to make race an issue, but let's be honest about it. We knew with Larry Elder stepping in, there was going to be a level of vitriol like we had never seen. Because if a black conservative wins that race, you're talking about an earthquake. You're talking about an earthquake. It goes beyond California. If Elder wins, the impact that race would have across America, and people having to pay attention to the largest state population-wise in the United States, it would be tremendous. Let's play audio clip number 1.
What I find kind of amazing about this race, Rose, virtually nobody has defended Gavin Newsom's record on almost anything. We had Barack Obama cutting a commercial for him. Bernie Sanders, who owns 3 houses, cutting a commercial for him. Senator Warren cuts a commercial for him. And nobody utters the following words: Gavin Newsom has done a fine job for the people of California. Crime is up. Homelessness is up. People are leaving California for the first time in the history of this state. We're 170 years old. This has never happened before. And when people making between 50 and 100K leave, the number one reason they cite, they cannot afford the price of a house.
All right. So this is the modus operandi of the left. Talking platitudes, Don't get bogged down on specific issues. Just call people names. Get black people, get Latinos, get minorities, get white liberals who've been brainwashed in college and in some cases high school. Get all of them mad. Get all of them emotional. And then all you have to do is trigger them by using the same language that they've brainwashed these people through high school, college, and so on. And then they just vote against their best interest. Californians, whenever you vote Democrat, honestly, let's just be real. Wherever you vote Democrat within the United States, you are voting against your best interest. And that's been the case for so long. It's unbelievable to me. Okay, yeah, man, if Elder gets in, they're going to take away my welfare check. Well, if you qualify for welfare legitimately, we know that's a silly line, right? That won't happen. But we also know this. You and I know people that don't belong on welfare. We know, and we know that these people, if they got a job, if they start handling their money right, they took care of their business, they'd be far better off. They'd live a better life. But Democrats say, no. Let's keep you here. Let's keep you here. Let's keep you on that welfare heroin. Let's keep you addicted to that because there's nothing. They call it smack. There's nothing better for you out there. There's nothing that you can achieve. You're no good. Let's just keep you downtrodden. That's who the Democrats are. I hope Gavin Newsom fails. I hope Joe Biden fails, to steal a phrase from Rush Limbaugh. This is Carl Jackson in for Larry Elder. We'll be back in a few.
While the sage is away, enjoy the Larry Elder Show with special guest Carl Jackson.
Guys, embrace the suck. Embrace the suck. And I'll get to you callers in just a moment here. Did you guys know that Kroger, the Kroger CFO, warns of high inflation? And he's warning that it's going to continue to drive up prices for consumers. So all of you who voted for Biden, this guy is pumping out, and this is what the Democrats are doing, and they still want to do it. They want to continuously pump money out into the economy. Now, let me tell you something. The government doesn't have money unless they either take it from you or they print it or they borrow it. But I mean, with our debt right now, I'm not sure that there's a whole lot of lending going on. But they can borrow it, they can print it, or they take it from you. And primarily, the way the government gets its money is by taking your money. So whenever they say they're giving you something, you're going to pay it back. You're going to pay it back with interest. So you're loaning the government money, and then you're gonna pay it back. Inflation is a little different because now you have the Biden administration just pumping money out into the economy, and they want to continue to do this. Pump money, pump more of your money, because eventually, even though it's printed, you're going to have to pay for it. How do you pay for it? Well, when there's too many dollars that are chasing too few products, so too many dollars, if you see me on YouTube, chasing too few dollars, it causes inflation. There's just too much money out there. And it causes things to skyrocket, whether it's housing, whether it's food, so on, etc. And this is happening in grocery stores. So all of you poor people who actually believe Democrats for you, no, they hate you. They think you're useful idiots. As a matter of fact, I got to be honest with you. It shocked me several years ago. I spoke with a prominent Democrat strategist, and he told me as much. I had to control my jaw muscles because my jaw almost dropped to the floor. I couldn't believe he said it, and he said it so nonchalantly that nonchalantly a word. He was so nonchalant about it. Anyway. All right, it is now. Here on the Larry Elder Show, we make up words. All right, so I do anyway. Larry Elder doesn't. I do. but anyway, this is some of the stuff that happens. All right, it is a word. So we don't. All right. And then look at this. Hat tip forgotten, man. Look at who the Biden administration wants to add to the welfare rolls. Biden is looking to add Afghan refugees to the welfare rolls. Now, the Biden administration wants you to forget about Afghanistan. Plenty of news about Afghanistan, and I'm going to get to it. I'm going to pepper it in here, all right? So plenty of news about Afghanistan. Did you know? Let me just mention this. Did you guys know? The Biden administration, what is the easiest way to vet a person? Let's say you're dating a girl, or you want to date a girl, you want to date a guy, you want to find out a little more about them, do your private investigating, if you will. What do? Nowadays, you go to their social media account. Do you know the Biden administration, before they loaded up over 100,000 Afghans, did no background checks, including not checking out social media? Which is the easiest way, because even terrorists use social media, the easiest way to figure out whether or not these guys are terrorists. They didn't do any of that. They wanted to do it on the back end. So bring people to the United States, strangers, many of them aren't eligible for special immigrant visas, or SIVs, as they call them, or SIVs for short. This is what the Biden administration is putting us in danger. And now this, speaking of, now when you guys hear me smack my arm, I should explain that. I'm talking about that welfare, that welfare cheese, that welfare crack cocaine, that welfare heroin. That's what the Democrat Party wants to do. They want to get you fixed on that welfare. If they can get you fixed, they figure they can keep your vote. If they keep you down, they keep your vote. That's the Democrats' modus operandi. They hate you. They think you're stupid. You're useful idiots to them. All they use you for is to gain power and wealth for themselves. We see that with Barack Obama. We see that with Biden now and his corrupt family. This is what they do. That is their modus operandi. Oh, we're so loving. We're so caring. We care for you. Let us give you welfare. Let us give you this. Let us give you that. And yeah, this sucker will keep voting for me for years to come. LBJ said as much. FDR said as much. They knew what they were doing. So Biden is looking to add Afghan refugees to the welfare rolls. No, I'm dead serious. Hat tip for Gatman. This is from Town Hall. The welfare system that is already in need of dire financial tweaks and fraud reviews might add thousands of more, because this is what liberals do. It's all about the feelings. These programs were meant to help Americans, and it should remain that way. Also, Joe Biden left Americans stranded in Afghanistan during our fiasco of an exit. Maybe he should focus on getting them out first before expanding the welfare state. Also, maybe he should get the measles issues that are plaguing Afghan refugees right now under control as well. As thousands, listen to this, as thousands of Afghan migrants are being processed and transferred to the U.S., the White House is requesting Congress make welfare benefits available to Afghan nationals paroled into the into the U.S. During the Joe Biden surrender, Afghanistan is from Afghanistan. The Taliban took over the nation. U.S. troops helped evacuate more than 116,000 people. Listen to this number: 116,000 people from Kabul, including 6,000 Americans. 116,000 people out of Afghanistan, 6,000 Americans, and they didn't vet them. This week, the White House asked Congress for $6.4 billion. You know what for? To give these people welfare. They also want to make sure, trip this out. Now we really know the Democrats are racist, because you know what else they want to give them? You know what else they want them to qualify for? Ironically, driver's licenses or ID cards. Oh my God. Democrats just admitted they're racist because they want Afghan refugees to get a driver's license or have an ID card. There you go, folks. This is what the Democrat Party is about: enslaving as many people as possible. They will even import them across the southern border or from Afghan. Anyway, let's take a call real quick. Let's go to Janet in Hawaii. Janet, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You got the mic.
Oh, hello?
Hello, Janet. You got the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is not Janet.
Okay. I'm sorry. Who are...
But I could hold after Janet.
Okay. I'm not... All right. Just... Hold. Yeah. Who are you and where are you?
My name is Tracy. I'm calling from Los Angeles.
Okay, Tracy, go ahead. You got a minute. Go ahead, Tracy.
Okay, yeah, you were just talking about the Afghans coming, into the country too, and nobody seems to be bringing up all the the illegals that are coming from the southern border that have the COVID, and right. they don't press the shots, the vaccines on them or the mask, but when it comes to unvaccinated Americans, they seem to have a problem. I mean, the Americans have the problem with, they don't seem to bring up the illegals that are coming over here by the millions that are not vaccinated.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. I mean, even I talked about this a little earlier, but Will sent me a column here where also, Congress isn't they don't have to take the vax as well. This is what they do. Whatever it takes to increase their power, screwing you and helping the imported Democrats, they'll do that too. We'll be back. I don't know why that wasn't on my screen, but...
I grew up poor, which is even worse than being poor.
We would have sandwiches with no meat.
My American dream entailed working hard and making $20,000 a year. But I surpassed that goal and became a corporate CEO.
We'll all be able to say, free at last, free at last.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
I would like my fellow conservatives, the majority of whom wanted to leave Afghanistan, to be as intellectually honest as I demand the left is. You must say, I am for the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. If you do not say that, you are a conservative who is not being honest. You cannot say, I am for leaving Afghanistan, but I am against the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. Then you are deluding yourself, and a conservative should never do that. That should be the monopoly of the left. It's equivalent to men give birth, okay? To deny that the Taliban, that you are giving Afghanistan over to the Taliban if you leave.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
I would say that this is now on track, Peter, to be the largest airlift in U.S. history. And that is bringing American citizens out. It is bringing our Afghan partners out. It is bringing allies out. So no, I would not say that is anything but a success.
Okay. As the kids would say, OMG. Yeah, we have an extensive vetting process. Sure we do. I've been to the border, lady. No, you don't. No, you don't. But again, back to Kamala Harris. There she is trying to escape this mess by hiding out in Singapore. But there are reporters there, too.
To that end, we have seen a successful drawdown of the embassy, and thankfully, without any American casualties. We have seen thousands of people who have been evacuated from the airport in Afghanistan, where the United States military doing very hard and difficult work.
Yeah, it's very difficult to get all those Afghans out of Afghanistan. Again, let me read the numbers to you. This was leaked, and it's on the Federalist. We've got the whole article posted at MikeOnline.com. According to this leaked information from the U.S. State Department, the evacuation numbers, within 50
Elder Show. The number to call into the ReliefFactor.com studio is 888-971-7243. 888-971-7243. Let me just read this real quick before I go to my guest, Christopher Hart of the American Adversaries. And I'm excited for you guys to meet him. Again, this is the guy that gave me my start on radio. He's great on radio. And I'm sure you guys will love his commentary. But this hat tip to Sean McConnell, 6,163,001 reasons for California voters to recall Gavin Newsom on Tuesday. There are 6,163,001 reasons for California voters to recall Gavin Newsom. And that's the number of K-12 students who are largely ill-served by the Golden State's Democratic governor. We'll get into that a little later. But let me introduce you to my guest, Christopher Hart of the American Adversaries. How you doing, man?
Oh, thank you so much, Carl. What a great introduction. I really do appreciate it.
All right. Now, Chris is, I love listening to Chris on radio. I got to admit, the guy is brilliant. It's almost as if I've rubbed off on him. It's pretty amazing.
Well, after all, I know we don't sound alike, but we do look alike, so I say we're twins.
All right. So yesterday, I was listening to Chris. I was out working, honestly. I was listening to Chris on radio and the American Adversaries. And by the way, what's your website, Chris?
AmericanAdversaries.com. And before you get going, I just have to say this. Real quick, you were talking in the last segment about how they're going to check these Afghan refugees, quote unquote, on the back end.
Right.
Don't you just get the feeling that they're pulling these ideas, these policies out of their back ends?
They absolutely are. They're like, hey, let's roll with the punches. Let's go with this. Oh, and by the way, okay, let's sprinkle them around the country. Let's have them get IDs and driver's licenses so that they can vote.
And by the way, spread measles and tuberculosis.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Stuff we got rid of. Okay, so now they've stopped flights. Thank you, Sean. They've stopped flights out of Afghanistan because of the measles. So the measles stopped them. They couldn't, they didn't want any more press on that. But Chris, yesterday you shared a very interesting story that was somewhat hilarious. And actually, it's going to segue into my third hour, because in the third hour, I'm going to be talking about how the COVID pandemic is over. So just share that story with us, and we'll talk through that a little bit. We'll talk through some NFL, and then let's talk about Larry Elder in the California election.
Okay, you talking about the Great Atlanta Zoo Experiment, I called it?
I am.
Okay, I'll just read a little bit of an article. This was in the local rag here yesterday, which, by the way, is a very liberal rag. But anyway, it's a short 4 paragraphs. I'll read it real quick. Atlanta Zoo gorillas contract COVID-19. Atlanta's zoo said at least 13 western lowland gorillas have tested positive for COVID-19, including 60-year-old Ozzy, the oldest male gorilla in captivity. Zoo Atlanta said Friday that employees noticed the gorillas had been coughing, had runny noses, and showed changes in their appetite. A veterinary lab at the University of Georgia returned positive tests for the respiratory illness. Zoo Atlanta says it's waiting on confirmation from the National Veterinary Services Lab in Ames, Iowa. The zoo says it's treating the gorillas at risk of developing complications with, get this, Carl, monoclonal antibodies, the same stuff that Ron DeSantis has made available at locations all over the state of Florida, and that the state's largest hospital is now using to keep people out of the hospital. The zoo said it's also testing all 20 of its gorillas who live in 4 troops. Here's the key. Zoo officials say they believe an asymptomatic employee who cares for the gorillas passed on the virus. The employee had been fully vaccinated and was wearing protective equipment such as a mask and gloves. And so I drew the conclusion that one of 2 things could be happening here. Either 1, the virus is ubiquitous. It is literally everywhere, and there's not a damn thing we can do to protect ourselves. And 2, that vaccinated people are infecting unvaccinated people. This was a closed environment. These gorillas, it's like a pristine thing. This person's the only person that comes in contact with them. He passed the bug on to them. Yeah. And so it tells us that all of this scare, all of this paranoia, all of this hysteria has been more about control, as we've been talking about for months, for a year and a half, than it has ever been about good, proper health care.
Yeah, this is, and we only have about 20 seconds before the break, but Russia, Ukraine, and COVID. And listen, I'm not minimizing COVID. I know that it's a real disease, but the left has definitely used this to their advantage. This is what they do. More from Christopher Hart of the American Adversaries right after this break. Let me talk to you about Pure Talk USA. Last month, an absolute landslide of you made the switch to Pure Talk. You were chained to overpriced unlimited plans from Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile, then finally decided to make the switch because you know that Pure Talk saves the average family over $800 a year without having to sacrifice coverage. Friends, if you haven't yet made the switch to Pure Talk, this is the easiest decision you'll make today. You can keep your phone, keep your number, or get huge discounts on the latest iPhones and Androids. Get unlimited talk, text, and 6 gigs of data for just $30 a month. Or if you still want unlimited data, you can get that and still save a fortune. Experience why Pure Talk is the highest rated wireless company by Consumer Affairs, why they're the preferred wireless partner of AMAC. From your cell phone, dial pound 250 and say Larry Elder, and you'll save 50% off your first month. That's pound 250, say Larry Elder. Pure Talk is simply smarter wireless.
Whoever in the White House decided it would be a good idea to try and get everyone out by September 11th, 2021, and thinking that that would be some positive PR win for the United States, should be fired, because that's a huge, huge propaganda win for the Taliban. And now it's also put us in the practical position on the ground of being entirely dependent on the largesse of the Taliban to get our people out. And I guarantee you, we're going to leave thousands of people behind. And that's unacceptable for the United States of America.
Congressman Gallagher, I'd like to point to two lies. The first lie is that we were obliged to leave by May 1. The Taliban broke the agreement at least as early as March, when they attacked forward operating base Chapman and wounded 7 Americans. So they violated the agreement. We're already beyond the May 1 deadline. There is no agreement, and there is no need to go. Secondly, there's a terrorist threat. Every American who's been in Afghanistan, including you, has been under a terrorist threat whenever they have been there. We've got 6,000 of our finest Marines and the 101st Airborne. I know I don't want any of them hurt either. But what do you make of those two arguments that we've already extended the deadline and we're under a terrorist threat?
Well, of course, the Doha Agreement was conditions-based, and one of the conditions was that the Taliban not allow al-Qaeda to operate from their territory. And, of course, they did. I believe even the UN pointed that out at one point. And if you don't think that's true, then there's evidence in the form of the fact that we've killed al-Qaeda operatives on Afghanistan soil.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on the Eric Metaxas Show.
This is the left, and we've heard this so many times, that the word is fluid for the Constitution. Oh, it's fluid, it changes in meaning, so there's no real specific definition. Well, that's not true. The hallmark of our Constitution is not just separation of powers, but limited specific powers. And so on the federal level, the Biden administration and the executive branch and even Congress are limited to the specific enumerated powers that are given in the United States Constitution. Our 9th and 10th Amendment reserve all powers that are not enumerated to the states and to the people. So that doesn't mean then that the states are just unlimited in their authority either. And so the federal government has absolutely no authority to tell the states what to do with respect to vaccine mandates, with respect to any of these things that infringe upon our liberty and freedom. We're no longer in a state of emergency. The state legislatures can absolutely meet, and they can determine whether or not to implement some of these things if they're even constitutional, and there's a lot of reasons that they're not. But that
All right, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. I'm your special guest host, Carl Jackson, filling in for the great Eldersky. The number to call in to the ReliefFactor.com studio is 888-971-7243. That's 888-971-7243. I'm talking to Christopher Hart of the American Adversaries. This is the man that gave me my start in radio that happens to be white.
How about that? We're still twin brothers, I'm telling you, brother. And by the way, Carl, we are so proud of you, the great job you've been doing for Larry, and the great job you do with your own show, obviously, and your podcast. But we're not surprised.
Thank you.
We are absolutely not surprised. They're going to have to find you some primetime real estate, brother.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, let's go back to, you wanted to quickly mention something about the primate issue.
Well, that's just it. This bug, this virus, is going to be transferred between mammals, especially between primates. It's here to stay.
Yep.
We're going to have to learn how to live with it. And vaccines may be part of the solution, but they're not the entire solution. It's going to be healthy, unvaccinated people, I believe, that provide the path through this to the other side. And by the way, this flare-up of the Delta thing here in Florida has turned the corner. It's going down as fast as it went up, but it did provide a great deal, like it or not, of herd immunity via natural immunity. And that's the sort of thing that's going to beat the bug. I just wanted to throw that there in there.
No, and in the third hour, I'm going to get into this. We're going to go in depth into this because this is the truth. This is an endemic, folks. This thing is here to stay. And again, I'm not trying to minimize COVID. I've had COVID. COVID is no joke, particularly if you have comorbidities, you're overweight. It can pose a threat, but overwhelmingly, over 99.5% of people are going to survive COVID. And you guys have heard me say plenty of times, there needs to be a stopgap. It cannot just be vaccines or hospitalization or your funeral.
Your best bet is healthy living at the end of the day.
It absolutely is. But you can also use therapeutics, which they always seem to try and ignore. But let's start talking about Larry Elder, and then I'm going to take a couple of calls here. And I see you out there. Art will be next in Oregon. Let's play a clip here. Let's play clip number 2, Sean.
You've heard the allegation that Rose just made about Gavin Newsom's wife. She made the allegation, 3 days ago? Where's the Washington Post? Wrote the article about me. Where's the New York Times? Wrote the article about me. Where's CNN? Where's Politico? Where are you? If this had been made about me, my girlfriend is standing over there. If someone had said my significant other contacted on behalf of Attorney Boyce, who's Harvey Weinstein's lawyer, and called Rose McGowan and said, what can we do to make you go away? What can we do to make this happy? That's all you guys will be talking about between now and the end of my campaign. This is a double standard to which I've been subjected to my entire time, and I'm sick of it. And you ought to be sick of it. Where's your integrity? Where's your fairness? Now, what Rose said about Gavin Newsom's wife is a bombshell. This is a man who the other day, because he was trying to do a counterpoint of me, women are smarter than men. Women are they're better politicians. They're better. Where is he? Where are you? His wife contacts Rose and says, what can we do to make you happy? What can we do to make this story go away? Right before the Harvey Weinstein story blew up. That's all you guys would be talking about if the allegation were made about me or my significant other.
Now, again, this is a bombshell. You heard it right from Larry Elder. This is an absolute bombshell. So, Gavin Newsom's wife contacts a victim, one of Harvey Weinstein's victims, Rose McGowan, and says, what can we do to make this better? What can we do to make this better? She's not calling to console her. She's saying, what can we do? Because this sexual predator that's in Washington, that's in Hollywood, we want to make sure that he stays out of jail. We want to make sure that everything stays copacetic with him. Rose McGowan, how can we make this better? How can we pay you off? This is a woman that supposedly champions women's rights. This is a governor that supposedly champions women's rights. Yet his wife is making a call to a victim of a sexual assault saying, how can we make this better? This is who you're going to vote for, California? This is astounding. Chris, your take.
Well, first of all, of course, Rose McGowan has the credibility because of the Harvey Weinstein thing. But let me just address it this way, Carl. What's happening here, I do believe, and I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I know it's a long shot for Newsom to get beat simply because of the numbers in California, registration, voters, that sort of thing. Not to mention what's going on with perhaps the voting. But let's assume that the voting is legit. What is happening, however, is the Democrats are having to face their ghosts in the closet. All these things that they thought they had going for them are now coming back against them. And what it's doing is it's awakening the country, I do believe. I liken the nation has been like in a long, deep slumber, and we're just waking out of it. And it's just, everything's kind of blurry right now, but it's coming into focus. And it will continue to come into focus because of things like this, and because of the efforts of people like Larry Elder. And so he's making a difference. Regardless of what happens tomorrow, Larry Elder is making a difference in California politics that will carry forward through to next year when they got to do it all over again.
You know, and Chris, I've been saying here that conservatives have to get used to embracing the suck, meaning a lot of people were talking about unity at the, this weekend, because obviously we just celebrated celebrate is the wrong word. We just observed the 20th anniversary of 9/11. And I heard a lot of, talking heads, if you will, on both sides of the aisle, talking about how can we get back to this unity? How can we have unity? And I'm like, you can't have unity. When did unity come after civil rights? Martin Luther King had to be beat World War II, we had to defeat the Nazis. Then then everyone feels united. There's always, whether it's a hurricane, tornado, there's always a disaster before unity. And right now, I feel like in order to feel unity in the United States, we have to crush the enemy that is trying to destroy us. And that is left-wing radicals right inside of the United States.
Hey, look, unity is just another way to say conformity, brother.
Yeah, absolutely right. All right, this is Carl Jackson and Christopher Hart of the American Adversaries. We'll be back on the Larry Elder Show in just a sec.
Thanks for letting me sit here.
America First with Sebastian Gorka.
I have to control myself, Jenna, because in the last 5 to 10 years, I think it's fair to say, empirically, that there's been an amazing shift, a sea change in American attitudes to abortion, and especially in the youth, in the under 30s, who understand, they follow the science, they understand that this is a human being inside a mother's womb. I don't want to get carried away with myself, but how important you've taught constitutional law, you're a practicing lawyer. How significant is the SCOTUS decision and the signing into effect of the new heartbeat law in Texas?
It's very significant. And even though this was simply a denial of an emergency application to stay the law, it shows that the Supreme Court is no longer reflexively protecting abortion as a so-called right. And that's what is the most important part of this decision. The Supreme Court said that they were not ruling on the merits of the issue. Of course, it will be litigated further on the merits and potentially wind its way up back to the Supreme Court. But what they're saying here is that no longer will an activist majority simply say, sorry, states, you don't have a compelling interest to protect unborn life. And so for all of us who understand actual science and who have seen the science, who see the strides that we have made in showing how heartbeats are about 5 to 6 weeks after conception.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe today at rumble.com. Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
Any teacher who's taping masks to 9-year-olds' heads should be fired immediately. I mean, that's not I'm not going out on a limb here to say that. Do you disagree with that? Now, the lunatics who are so mask and vaccine crazed, who are freaking out about 100,000 people in a college football stadium, I'll bet they think that's okay. Well, if the 9-year-old doesn't have his mask on, you got to tape it to his head. Now tape the mask around it so it stays over his mouth and his nose. Not only should the teacher lose her job, she should be arrested. That's assault.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
The number of U.S. children being homeschooled has doubled since the start of the pandemic, from roughly 2.5 to 5 million, representing 11% of households nationwide now homeschooling their children. The reasons are varied, researchers say, but overall the shift represents a loss of faith in America's public school system. By the way, I don't know why they say that. It's also private school system. It's an odd thing. It's not people. Obviously, if people had faith in private schools, they'd send them to private schools. The elite private schools are at least as bad as the public schools. At least as bad. They're taught by anti-American, anti-truth teachers.
not a taker. And that's what makes America great. That's what our founders knew this country could be. And Larry, all the cards he's been given, he's taken it and he's grown, and now he wants to give back. And all I got to say is, Californians, you know, this man will be the best thing that ever happened to the state of California, because he's a giver. And that's what America is all about. Not what the Democrats do. They take. They want to take away from all of us, Carl. And I'm praying that Californians do wake up, like you've been saying, and realize what a great man Carl is, because he's not a taker. He wants to give California what he knows will make it a better state.
Totally
and that's
agree. Art,
what.
Just for the sake of time, I appreciate it, Art. Let me try to squeeze in one more call before the break here. Let's go to George of Menifee, California. George, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You're speaking to Carl Jackson,
doing,
special
Carl?
guest host. Doing great. George, go ahead. You got the mic.
I just got three things I wanted to ask, see if I couldn't get an answer on. One, I thought this thing couldn't go to animals. Sounds very fishy to me that all of a sudden now we can find it in an animal, when they said they couldn't get an animal to take to an animal when they were trying to find out where it came from in China. Second thing,
if I could jump in real quick, it can be transferred amongst mammals and amongst primates in particular.
So like gorillas, monkeys, stuff like that, it can be transferred.
Matter of fact, it happened in San Diego, as you pointed out to me last night, Carl. Gorillas in the San Diego Zoo last year.
Yep. All right, George, go ahead. You got 20 seconds here.
Well, one more thing is, if I don't have it, and I haven't gotten it, and I am immune to it, if I take the shot, aren't I taking a chance that they're giving it to me?
Hey, you know what? This is an excellent question. We'll talk about that in the next hour. This is Carl Jackson sitting in for the great Eldersky. We'll be back with more on the other side, including your calls. Thank you, Christopher Hart of the American Adversaries.
All right. Thank you, Lou.
Streaming on Salem Now.
Tesla was a genius. His most amazing discoveries thought to be written in a lost journal. Now, in the right hands, it could revolutionize the 21st century.
You can stop an earthquake. Doesn't that mean you could start one too?
That's why that notebook should never fall into the wrong hands.
Shall we stop this thing?
Save the universe!
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
I would say that this is now on track, Peter, to be the largest airlift in U.S. history. And that is bringing American citizens out. It is bringing our Afghan partners out. It is bringing allies out. So no, I would not say that is anything but a success.
Okay. As the kids would say, OMG. Yeah, we have an extensive vetting process. Sure we do. I've been to the border, lady. No, you don't. No, you don't. But again, back to Kamala Harris. There she is trying to escape this mess by hiding out in Singapore. But there are reporters there, too.
To that end, we have seen a successful drawdown of the embassy.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com.
This is why we're fighting for the soul of America.
You should be able to share ideas without fear of being fired from your job or shouted down.
You are not to be heard. This is one of the few things we have no precedent for in the United States.
You have the right to remain silent.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Man, I miss my father, and I want him to be here with me, but he's not. We all had something in common. A lot of us were miserable. We had no fathers in our lives.
This is how I began the life of crime.
I desired to have a father who would tell me that what I did was wrong.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
I think this family can pick you up every time you fall.
Every time I take one step forward.
When Wright came in this morning, he wants to fight you.
No one expected this out of him.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
I grew up poor, which is even worse than being poor.
We would have sandwiches with no meat.
My American dream entailed working hard and making $20,000 a year. But I surpassed that goal and became a corporate CEO.
We'll all be able to say, free at last, free at last.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
I would like my fellow conservatives, the majority of whom wanted to leave Afghanistan, to be as intellectually honest as I demand the left is. You must say, I am for the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. If you do not say that, you are a conservative who is not being honest. You cannot say, I am for leaving Afghanistan, but I am against the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. Then you are deluding yourself, and a conservative should never do that. That should be the monopoly of the left. It's equivalent to men give birth, okay? To deny that the Taliban, that you are giving Afghanistan over to the Taliban if you leave.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
I would say that this is now on track, Peter, to be the largest airlift in U.S. history. And that is bringing American citizens out. It is bringing our Afghan partners out. It is bringing allies out. So no, I would not say that is anything but a success.
Okay. As the kids would say, OMG. Yeah, we have an extensive vetting process. Sure we do. I've been to the border, lady. No, you don't. No, you don't. But again, back to Kamala Harris. There she is trying to escape this mess by hiding out in Singapore. But there are reporters there, too.
To that end, we have seen a successful drawdown of the embassy, and thankfully, without any American casualties. We have seen thousands of people who have been evacuated from the airport in Afghanistan, where the United States military doing very hard and difficult work.
It's very difficult to get all those Afghans out of Afghanistan. Again, let me read the numbers to you. This was leaked, and it's on the Federalist. We've got the whole article posted at mikeonline.com. According to this leaked information from the U.S. State Department, the evacuation numbers, within 15-hour period of time, August 23rd, midnight to 3 p.m., the United States evacuated a total of 6,916 people. Only 483 were Americans. The vast majority were Afghan nationals, 6,425.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on the Charlie Kirk Show.
Afghanistan continues to be a mess, and Americans are stranded in Afghanistan, and our government is uncertain what to do. We have some exclusive frontline updates from Afghanistan to share with you, including how private contractors and private citizens are stepping up and doing the job that our government refuses to do. And also, we're going to go into great detail all of the weapons that we have left behind in Afghanistan. And it's not just bullets and guns. It is some of the most sophisticated, top-level weaponry We're going to get into all of that and the cost associated with it.
All right, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. The number to call in is 888-971-7243, 888-971-7243. We're coming to you live from the ReliefFactor.com studio. I'm going to be talking about COVID, but before I do, there's so much more to get to, still with Elder. So Larry Elder, electelder.com, electelder.com, electelder.com. We'll be peppering that in as well. And then let me just say this real quick, and I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. None of us know what's going to happen tomorrow. But I just want to say to the entire team, Larry Elder's team, they have been absolutely amazing. I mean, I came in as a young whippersnapper, still wet behind the ears, and I feel like they've done a great job training me up. So forgot man, Sean McConnell, that's in my ear, Christian, William, I feel like you guys have become friends, and I just want to say publicly and nationally how much I appreciate you guys. You guys are absolutely just phenomenal. All right, so listen, here's the deal. COVID is over. COVID is crushed. It's an endemic now. I kid you not. If it were not for Democrats pressing this constant drumbeat of COVID and fear, you're going to die, you're going to die, you're going to die. I got to be honest with you. I think Larry Elder would be walking away with this California election. The mail-in ballots make it difficult. There's no doubt about it. But I'm telling you guys, embrace the suck. No matter what happens, win or lose tomorrow, continue to fight for the state of California. If Larry Elder wins, he's going to need soldiers that can help talk to people about freedom, help people understand, listen, you guys have a real opportunity to change to change the state. At this point, he's raised what an astounding, thanks Tom Trout, 18 million. He's drawn every big name Democrat to come after him. Larry Elder has been doing a phenomenal job. So continue, regardless of what happens, continue to fight. It may stink for a while, no matter what happens, again, but continue to embrace the suck and fight through this. The only way that we're going to unite is if we get rid of these radical leftists like AOC, who, by the way, went to Congress. I don't know what she was driving before she went to Congress. But now I lost it. Hat tip Sean McConnell. Anyway, she's in there driving a Tesla and telling people to vote, no on the recall. No, vote yes. Vote yes. You see what shambles California is on. You vote yes on the recall, and then to replace Gavin Newsom, it's vote yes. It's as simple as that. I'll take a call real quick, and then I want to play some more audio clips for you before we go into this. The Delta variant is dying. COVID is dying. COVID has been dying a slow death Democrats are trying to keep this bad boy rolling as long as they possibly can. But COVID is dying. That's the good news. Now, the question is, what are you going to do about it? I've talked to you about, and hopefully we'll have a time to get into the fact that you have New York hospital nurses that are quitting because they're refusing to take the vaccine mandate. Fascist Fauci, by the way, funded a Wuhan, there's more evidence that he funded the Wuhan lab with viruses that are up to 10,000 times stronger than the usual virus. I mean, it's absolutely insane. This guy really should be perp walked. I don't say that just to try to be mean and nasty and cute and all that kind of good stuff. He should be perp walked, in my opinion. Let's go to Vicky in Colorado. Vicky, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You've got the mic.
Hi. I was hoping Mr. Elder listened to your show. I was just calling to wish him luck, and I sure hope he wins. I think he will, because a lot of the preachers have said he would be I'm sorry, my dogs are barking, the best man for the job, and I think so. And another thing that upset me, I was reading the paper, and I saw the other day that lady in that mask. She's a white lady and was throwing eggs at him, and not near one news channel reported on that. And that is very hateful to do to such a nice man, or to anybody, really. Yes. So I'm just wishing him luck. I can't vote for him, but I would if I was there. So hopefully he listens, and you can tell him I said good luck.
Thank you, Vicky. I appreciate the call. I'm sure Larry Elder appreciates it if indeed he heard it. Let's go to Winton in Houston, Texas. Winton, I hope I said your name correctly. You've got the mic. Welcome to the Larry Elder Show.
Hi, Mr. Carlson. I'm very happy to talk to you. So, you said my name right. I'm Winton. I'm 15 years old, and I'm in Houston, Texas.
Wait,
and
you're how old?
Really wanted.
You're how old?
I'm 15 years old.
Okay, and you're listening. 15, listening to talk radio. I love it. Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to give a word of encouragement to Larry Elder, and I also wanted people to really pray for this election. And we all know that whatever God decides about this, He's in control. And I really wish him luck.
Thank you. Winton, I really appreciate you being out there. I hope that you'll continue to listen to the program. It's really good for someone as young as you to honestly, to listen to conservative talk radio. I think that's amazing. God bless you, Winton. I appreciate you being out there. All right, so now I want to play this a few more audio clips for you. Larry Elder has been able to turn this thing around about his behavior and into a GOP takeover. So Newsom, this is what Newsom has been saying. This isn't about GOP. This isn't about, honestly, this is about you guys. I see. This is what the left does, right? They try their best to just avoid the issues, but this is about you, Californians. Tomorrow, you get to choose whether or not you want a better life. That's what you get to choose. Whether or not you want a better future. That's what's on the line. Let's listen to audio clip number 3.
I can't think of any front at all where this man has done a good job. And you guys want to talk about other stuff. And that's because this man, Gavin Newsom, has been able to switch this thing from a referendum on his behavior, his governance, into a, quote, Republican takeover. As if that has anything to do with crime. As if that has anything to do with homelessness. As if that has anything to do with the outrageous cost of living.
All right, and then the media is complicit in this. We'll go down the line with some of these audio clips. The media is complicit. Guys, you can't trust, I'm sorry, mainstream media, the Democrat media is just dead. They don't exist anymore. That isn't their business model. They don't exist to give you facts. These guys, listen, I'm an opinion guy. I'm a Christian conservative American that happens to be black, and I share my opinions all the time on air. But I tell you who I am. I tell you what I'm about. these guys try to play a coup as if they, as if they're non-biased, as if they're neutral. It's just not true. Let's play audio clip number 5 real quick. This is Rose McGowan. Here's what she has to say.
And so finally I had to come to the point where I'm not a Democrat, because everybody was systematically traumatized, terrorized, harassed, stalked, and stolen from me during my time in California and in Hollywood has been a Democrat.
Wow.
What a bummer for me. What a bummer to realize that behind the scenes, it's not real.
All right, so this is exactly what Rose McGowan experienced, is exactly, in a sense, what we're experiencing. The Democrats are exposing who they really are. It's time to elect someone new, California. We'll be back. Man, that's pretty sad.
Trending now on The Hugh Hewitt Show.
Jen Psaki, the pressure is getting to her, questioned by Peter Doocy, a famous clip already, cut number 11.
But does the president have a sense that most of the criticism is not of leaving Afghanistan, it's the way that he has ordered it to happen, by pulling the troops before getting these Americans who are now stranded? Does he have a sense of that?
First of all, I think it's irresponsible to say Americans are stranded. They are not. We are committed to bringing Americans who want to come home. We are in touch with them via phone, via text, via email, via any way that we can possibly reach Americans to...
Jake Tapper thinks they're stranded on CNN, cut number 4.
Look, I understand that people are working long hours in the White House, the National Security Council, State Department, Pentagon, and over in Kabul to get Americans out of that country. And I understand the White House wanting to reassure the nation that all Americans will ultimately be evacuated. But there are no doubt Americans who feel stranded in Afghanistan right now.
Of course there are. It's absurd for the White House, and it tells you something about Joe Biden. Britt Hume was on with our friend Guy Benson on his radio show yesterday, said this, cut number 1.
But anybody who ever heard him speak for any length of time could tell this was not the sharpest knife in the drawer, and he could talk forever and was famous for it, but you never had the sense that he was terribly smart. And on top of that, now he's manifestly senile. And between those two things, this is a man with very, very severe limitations who is well too old, in my opinion, to be the President of the United States.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on The Hugh Hewitt Show.
Whoever in the White House decided it would be a good idea to try and get everyone out by September 11th, 2021, and thinking that that would be some positive PR win for the United States should be fired, because that's a huge, huge propaganda win for the Taliban. And now it's also put us in the practical position on the ground of being entirely dependent on the largesse of the Taliban to get our people out. And I guarantee you, we're going to leave thousands of people behind. And that's unacceptable for the United States of America.
Congressman Gallagher, I'd like to point to 2 lies. The first lie is that we were obliged to leave by May 1. The Taliban broke the agreement at least as early as March, when they attacked forward operating base Chapman and wounded 7 Americans. So they violated the agreement. We're already beyond the May 1 deadline. There is no agreement, and there is no need to go. Secondly, there's a terrorist threat. Every American who's been in Afghanistan, including you, has been under a terrorist threat whenever they have been.
All right, let's talk to you about Job Creators Network. After a year plus of lockdowns and mandates that crippled America's economy, our leaders in Washington, D.C. still haven't gotten the message. Small business owners are hurting while their big global competitors thrive. What's Washington's response? More talk of mandates, unprecedented government spending, and tax increases on small businesses. The same misguided policies of President Carter that led to soaring gas prices, record inflation, and job losses. Only one organization in America is fighting the war on small business being waged by President Biden and the Democrats. That's Job Creators Network. If you own a small business or you're a friend of small business, join the growing army of JCN members now and learn how to become a small business advocate. The American people love and trust our small business owners, but they need to hear from you. They need to hear your stories and your struggles. As part of their effort to expose the threat to small business from leftist policies like higher taxes and more regulations, along with massive government spending, Job Creators Network is taking their message on the road in September and October. The Bring Small Business Back bus tour may be coming to your town. Visit jcnbustour.com to see the tour schedule. And if you live in and around Tampa and Atlanta, get your tickets to 2 special events with speakers you won't want to miss. Go to jcnbustour.com for more event info and future tour stops. I'm asking all small business owners and friends of small business to join Job Creators Network. We all have to join together to support the engine of our economy. jcnbustour.com. That's jcnbustour.com. All right, shortly I'm going to be talking to you about the Delta variant, but listen, this story with Rose McGowan. Oh, by the way, and it was a good point. Chicago, you guys, people, pray for Chicago. Seriously, pray for new leadership in Chicago. Democratic cities are just run amok. They are chaos. You know, I don't want the California race to be necessarily Democrat versus Republican, because this is an issues-based campaign that Larry Elder is running. Gavin Newsom stinks. He stinks at wildfires. He stinks at the homelessness crisis. He stinks at affordable housing. All of these things, water, the reservation of water, all of these things that he could have done. It's an issues-based campaign. But when you go around the country, you look at places like Chicago, Illinois, where it just feels like a war zone every single week, and people continue to elect these Democrats. It's pretty crazy to me. Again, I'm talking about, or the theme of the show is embrace the suck. We've got to defeat the left. That's how we'll unite. I guarantee you, moderates will come out of the closet if we can defeat the left. Listen to this. Hat tip for Gatman. West Coast High School cancels 9/11 tribute, calls it racially insensitive. Students at a Washington State high school had planned to commemorate the 20th anniversary of 9/11 terror attacks by wearing red, white, and blue at a patriotic-themed game, but school officials rejected the plan because the event could unintentionally cause offense to some who see it differently. At Eastlake High School in Sammamish, student leadership promoted a Patriots Day theme at a football game at Memorial Stadium against Rainier Beach. The game was previously canceled, then rescheduled to the day before the 20th anniversary of the terrorist attacks. Students wanted to do something to remember the tragic events. The students did, but the staff intervened. According to an email obtained by Jason Rant's show on KTTH, the principal said wearing those colors could unintentionally cause offense to some who see it differently. Students are upset, and some parents now speculate school officials thought their minority opponents would be offended by American pride. So what? So what? They live in the United States of America. Some of these guys are striving to go to college or play a game where they can get paid a buttload of money to just sit back, catch a ball, enjoy life, do some running. I understand there's some aches and pains with it. So what if they're offended? So sick and tired of this stuff. For God's sakes, if you hate America, leave. Leave. You heard Rose McGowan talk about all the nasty things that Democrats have done to her. This is who Democrats are. They are nasty people. I'm not talking about all the voters, okay? But I'm talking about these politicians. I'm talking about the elites. Who do you think Rose McGowan is or was hanging around? She's in Hollywood. All of these elites They go out like the Gavin Newsoms and claim to be this and that for the people, so on, etc. And then his wife contacts her and say, hey, can we pay you off? I know you were sexually assaulted by Harvey Weinstein. Will you accept a payoff? His wife, who's allegedly some type of woman's advocate herself. Bunch of fakes, phonies, and frauds. That's who they are. California, I hope you wake up. It amazes me. All the people that are voting to keep Newsom in office are voting for their own demise. That's all they're voting for. Nothing less than that. Pretty sick to me. Pretty sick to me. We'll take a couple of calls because I want to run with this. Actually, yeah, let's do that because I want to run with some more audio and then give you some good news on this COVID-19 because the Delta variant is dying, and I suspect COVID itself is dying a slow death where it'll always be around. It'll be endemic, but it's continuing to get weaker and weaker. Let's go to Mike from Cupertino, California. Mike, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You got the mic. You got a minute because I want to try to get in another call. So, Mike, go ahead.
When the 9/11 event happened, we were given a blitz of media coverage over and over, the same shots over and over. On the very last day, they showed us what really happened one time and one time only. A helicopter's eye view above one of the towers minutes before it fell. It shows from just above the building, looking straight down on it, the whole building billow out like a balloon inflating. Then a loud explosion, boom! And then it started to pancake. Now that expansion 20 feet on all sides could only have happened from air pressure from an explosive device. Yes, folks, your worst fears. The New World Order did set
Thanks
those
for the call,
buildings up
Mike.
for the
Thanks for the call, Mike. Let's go to Jim in Illinois. Jim, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You got the mic.
Carl, I'll tell you what. I am so glad to have met you. I'm happy that Larry's running for governor. Couldn't be a better governor. He's a quality person. But I'll tell you what, you're a quality host standing in for him.
Thank you.
I just wanted to propose something. You know, not everyone has any money to with increase in prices and everything, escalation. We don't have a lot of money necessarily to donate, but what we can do. And for $1.50, you can go down and get 10 copies of Larry's campaign image, whatever he's got on his website, and at the local library, and put it in your window, put it in your car window, put it in your apartment window, whatever you got, and show the name recognition, get the word out, and it don't cost much, and you can just do it yourself,
Jim, I appreciate that, and I think what I like about that idea most is the fact that. Listen, it strikes up conversation, and you can have a conversation based upon the issues wherever you are in the United States. However, I will say if you go to electelder.com, you can volunteer to make phone calls and all that kind of stuff. There's stuff that you can do even from out of state for free, so just consider that. All right, when we get back, the Delta variant is dying. We'll talk about that next, along with more audio clips from Larry Elder.
Trending now on the Eric Metaxas Show.
This is the left, and we've heard this so many times, that the word is fluid for the Constitution. Oh, it's fluid, it changes in meaning, so there's no real specific definition. Well, that's not true. The hallmark of our Constitution is not just separation of powers, but limited specific powers. And so on the federal level, the Biden administration and the executive branch and even Congress are limited to the specific enumerated powers that are given in the United States Constitution. Our 9th and 10th Amendment reserve all powers that are not enumerated to the states and to the people. So that doesn't mean then that the states are just unlimited in their authority either. And so the federal government has absolutely no authority to tell the states what to do with respect to vaccine mandates, with respect to any of these things that infringe upon our liberty and freedom. We're no longer in a state of emergency. The state legislatures can absolutely meet and they can determine whether or not to implement some of these things if they're even constitutional, and there's a lot of reasons that they're not, but that is a specifically legislative designation. So for these executive branch officials to say, hey, we're exercising our emergency authorization, we're going to force every individual to show a vaccine passport before they can take advantage and exercise their rights with respect to going into restaurants, gyms, hotels, all of these things, that is a violation of the separation of powers. Our government is not tyrannical. They can't just decide what's best for you and me in the interest of quote unquote public safety. But this is where, Eric, the left wants to go.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe today at rumble.com. Trending now on The Mike Gallagher Show.
Any teacher who's taping masks to 9-year-olds' heads should be fired immediately. I mean, that's not, I'm not going out on a limb here to say that. Do you disagree with that? Now, the lunatics who are so mask and vaccine crazed, who are freaking out about 100,000 people in a college football stadium, I'll bet they think that's okay. Well, if the 9-year-old doesn't have his mask on, you got to tape it to his head. Now tape the mask around it so it stays over his mouth and his nose. Not only should the teacher lose her job, she should be arrested. That's assault.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on the Hugh Hewitt Show.
You know, General McMaster and Secretary Esper are blaming you for the Doha Agreement. They're saying that you empowered them. What do you make of these criticisms from General McMaster, who was your second national security advisor, and Secretary Esper?
Yeah, these are two guys. You know, I had great people in my administration, but those two were stiffs. McMaster was not a smart guy. All he liked doing was talking to the press, and I rarely listened to him, and then ultimately fired him. And Jesper, I called him Jesper because all he did was say yes. Jesper was like a little boy. All he did was say yes. No matter what you asked him, he was a lightweight, and honestly should not have been in that position. We were rushed because there was a difficulty with a good
clip for you, and I actually debated on playing this simply because I don't want you guys to get I don't want conservatives to get discouraged no matter what happens in the state of California. All right, I want conservatives to continue fighting. That's why I'm telling you guys, and I have been saying the theme of the show, something that I'm not necessarily proud of, but I really do believe, as I started out this show saying, I got to give Nancy Pelosi props when it comes to spending, when it comes to trying to change America in the left's image, when it comes to trying to fundamentally transform America. Nancy Pelosi was telling Democrats when it came to the infrastructure bill, the $3.5 trillion boondoggle, hey, embrace the suck. Come what may. It's a term that's used in the military. Embrace all the, embrace the bad in order to get to a better day, in a sense. And that's exactly what we have to do on the right. No matter what happens, we can't keep whining. We have to figure out how to start winning. If that's election integrity, there's a Fix California. Rick Grinnell runs that. Get involved in that type of stuff no matter what happens. But let me tell you something. the fact that they have to bring all of these big names out to try to hurt Larry Elder, and then they're saying, Gavin Newsom, don't believe the polls. What matters is people. So show up tomorrow and show up in big numbers. Don't listen to the polls. Just show up in mass and show and vote to recall Gavin Newsom and elect Elder. But let's go to, this has been big news. So let's go ahead and go to audio clip number 9. I want you guys to hear this.
Court and Rick, this is quite a story. Good question. What is going on? We spoke with several concerned voters here in the West San Fernando Valley who believe something wonky had been going on at places like El Camino Real Charter High School in Woodland Hills. This place opened up as an early polling location, open 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily, but several people tell us they showed up to vote this morning in the special California governor recall election and were told that computers showed they had already cast their ballots. So what? Staffers, they say, were apologetic and helpful, but those voters we talked to are extremely concerned, suspicious, and wanting answers. California native and current West Hills resident, 88-year-old Estelle Bender, spoke with us just a short time ago.
What happened today and how shocked are you?
Very. I went to El Camino High School to vote, got there at 10:30, gave her this, and she scanned it and said, "You voted." And I said, "No, I haven't." And she said, "This has been happening all morning." The man next to me was arguing the same thing. So as I left, I did the provisional ballot and left. I was just really angry, and I saw two women walking toward me as I left, and I said, "Don't be surprised if they tell you you've already voted." And she said, "They've already done that." If I voted, how did I vote?
And who did you vote for?
Well, I asked the couple, the young women that I talked to, and I said, "Are you by any chance Republicans?" She said, "Yes." And I said, "Well, so am I. And so are the two friends that had the problem at VFW." So.
Makes you suspicious.
I would think so. And still, I'd like to know how I voted.
All right, take a look. The LA County Registrar's Office released a statement tonight following our inquiries. A spokesman says the voters who experienced this issue were offered and provided a provisional ballot.
Okay, so a provisional ballot. Okay, so here's what we have to learn to do as conservatives. Again, it goes back to this theme, embrace the suck. That's not good enough. Let me tell you something. If a Democrat was out there experiencing this, and notice, it only seems to be Republicans that are having these issues, right? So if a Democrat was out there, there would be TV cameras out there about this Democrat going buck wild inside of the office. I'm not telling you to get disrespectful, but what I am telling you is no matter if this election or the next one, if you want to win California back, provisional ballots, this has to be unacceptable. No, someone stole my identity. Figure out who it was. Get it corrected because I deserve to be heard. You keep going up the ladder. I understand there's laws in place. Maybe you have to run for office, but don't sit still. Don't take it. This is what the right does. We become complacent. We start whining. It's time to start winning. It's time to start fighting back.
Carl Jackson will be back on The Larry Elder Show.
Trending now on The Charlie Kirk Show.
Afghanistan continues to be a mess, and Americans are stranded in Afghanistan, and our government is uncertain what to do. We have some exclusive frontline updates from Afghanistan to share with you, including how private contractors and private citizens are stepping up and doing the job that our government refuses to do. And also, we're going to go into great detail all of the weapons that we have left behind in Afghanistan. And it's not just bullets and guns. It is some of the most sophisticated, top-level weaponry We're going to get into all of that and the cost associated.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on the Hugh Hewitt Show.
Jen Psaki, the pressure is getting to her, questioned by Peter Doocy, a famous clip already, cut number 11.
But does the president have a sense that most of the criticism is not of leaving Afghanistan, it's the way that he has ordered it to happen by pulling the troops before getting these Americans who are now stranded? Does he have a sense of that?
First of all, I think it's irresponsible to say Americans are stranded. They are not. We are committed to bringing Americans who want to come home. We are in touch with them via phone, via text, via email, via any way that we can possibly reach Americans to.
Jake Tapper thinks they're stranded on CNN, cut number 4.
Look, I understand that people are working long hours in the White House, the National Security Council, State Department, Pentagon, and over in Kabul to get Americans out of that country. And I understand the White House wanting to reassure the nation that all Americans will ultimately be evacuated. But there are no doubt Americans who feel stranded in Afghanistan right now.
Of course there are. It's absurd for the White House, and it tells you something about Joe Biden. Britt Hume was on with our friend Guy Benson on his radio show yesterday, said this, cut number 1.
But anybody who ever heard him speak for any length of time could tell this guy, this was not the sharpest knife in the drawer. And, he could talk forever and was famous for it. But you never had the sense that he was terribly smart. And on top of that, now he's manifestly senile. And between those two things, this is a man with very, very severe limitations who is well too old, in my opinion, to be the President of the United States.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on the Hugh Hewitt Show.
Whoever in the White House decided it would be a good idea to try and get everyone out by September 11th, 2021, and thinking that that would be some positive PR win for the United States should be fired, because that's a huge, huge propaganda win for the Taliban. And now it's also put us in the practical position on the ground of being entirely dependent on the largesse of the Taliban to get our people out. And I guarantee you, we're going to leave thousands of people behind. And that's unacceptable for the United States of America.
Congressman Gallagher, I'd like to point to 2 lies. The first lie is that we were obliged to leave by May 1. The Taliban broke the agreement at least as early as March when they attacked forward operating base Chapman and wounded 7 Americans. So they violated the agreement. We're already beyond the May 1 deadline. There is no agreement.
COVID is over, or the pandemic is over. This thing is endemic, and it's here to stay. It is time for us to start dealing with it. This hat tip to the City Journal. The Delta variant is on the decline thanks to vaccines, natural immunity, and improved therapeutics. All right, so the combination of this milestone, this is what the CDC is now saying. Now, listen. The CDC, when it comes to the regular rank and file, if you will, many of them want to do a good job. They may be worn out. They may be overworked. You have basically the face of the NIH, which seems to be Tony Fauci for every single one of them, whether it's CDC, NIH, NIAID, and He seems to be the face for all, or the spokesman for all, but there still is some quality research that's being done. So they say the combination of the milestone between natural immunity, this from the CDC, natural immunity, the vaccine, and improved therapeutics is making quite an impact. And they even believe that COVID-19 is likely to become a diminishing health risk inside of the United States. So let me give you some information here. Let me give you some stats. So the CDC observed the blood donations of 1.5 million people. So 1.5 million blood donors that were both vaccinated or those that were infected prior with COVID-19. And based on the antibodies that were found in the specimens, they were able to distinguish between those who had been vaccinated and those with antibodies that were just sick. So as of the end of May, the combined vaccine and infection, what they call a seroprevalence, which indicates the proportion of the population that has the antibodies and the level of immune protection, it was up to 83% for those 16 and older. Now, the children under 16 can't donate blood, so that's why they're not included in this. But basically, herd immunity level, 83%. Listen to this. Over 20% had antibodies indicating they had a previous infection or an earlier infection, but they had recovered. Now, based on the infection induced immunity or seroprevalence, the researchers were able to estimate that there were actually 2.1. These numbers are, I know we're kind of getting in the weeds, but this is really important because what I'm telling you is this virus is endemic and they know it. They know it. Anthony Fauci has the research if he wants it. It is now endemic. This is not a pandemic. This is strictly a political tool for the left to try to control you. This is a political tool for the left. Slow the spread. Only 2 more election cycles to slow the spread. This is exactly what they want. Because they want scenarios all across the country, like California, where people are still doing mail-in voting, mass mail-in voting, when there is absolutely no need. And I'm not trying to minimize this. I'm not saying you do what you have to do to protect your family. Don't tell other people what to do because it isn't your business. It isn't your business. Particularly if you're vaccinated or you don't know whether or not a person has had COVID, because if a person has had COVID, their immunity is stronger than yours. So shut up, please. So based on the infection-induced immunity, again, the researchers estimated that there were actually 2.1 infections per reported COVID-19 case. Cases. That means you double. Basically, whatever you hear in the news media, you double the amount of cases because you got to keep in mind, many people won't even know they were affected with COVID. But they've got this natural immunity. So they just take the numbers, they extrapolate, and then they double that number. That's how many people they figure actually has had the disease. Now, here are some of the Delta variant numbers. Following the surge from the Delta variant, the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases, all ages, is over 40 million, or 8 million more than on May 31st. So applying that 2.1 million from the blood donation study to the entire population results in the real number of cases, and that's the people with natural immunity of 84 million. So they suspect 84 million of us Americans are walking around like myself with natural immunity, or 25% of the population. All right, well, Carl, that's just 25% of the population. How does this get us to this herd immunity number? Okay, so I'm glad you asked. In addition, 177 million people are fully vaccinated. So you've got 84 million that have natural immunity, approximately 177 million who are fully vaccinated. That's 53% of the total population. And you have 34 million more than at the end of May. And additional 10% of the population has received a single dose, which does give you some level of immunity. And again, I'm not pro-vax. I'm not anti-vax. I say you do what you feel is best for your family. My My gripe is this. I believe a lot of doctors, unfortunately, are cowards. And I believe they know better. There should not be this gap where, hey, get the vaccine or hospitalizations, and they just try to scare you to death, where there's therapeutics that you can take to make sure your lungs don't swell because you have a hard time breathing. I mean, even over-the-counter stuff, you know, and consult with your doctor. By no means, obviously, I'm not a doctor, but there are some things that you could be taking over the counter. C, D, vitamin D needs to be high. Zinc, turmeric, whatever. But all of the turmeric, thank you. Those help. Those are things that you can buy over the counter. You know, and if so these are little things that you can do. This is the stuff that doctors should be telling you. They know this stuff, but they're cowards. They won't say it. And I understand they don't want to lose their income. I get it. But for God's sakes, man, I sure hope that we can see more courage in the medical profession coming soon. More on Delta numbers when we get back.
Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
I have to control myself, Jenna, because in the last 5 to 10 years, I think it's fair to say, empirically, that there's been an amazing shift, a sea change in American attitudes to abortion, and especially in the youth, in the under 30s, who understand, they follow the science, they understand that this is a human being inside a mother's womb. I don't want to get carried away with myself, but how important you've taught constitutional law, you're a practicing lawyer. How significant is the SCOTUS decision and the signing into effect of the new heartbeat law in Texas?
It's very significant. And even though this was simply a denial of an emergency application to stay the law, it shows that the Supreme Court is no longer reflexively protecting abortion as a so-called right. And that's what is the most important part of this decision. The Supreme Court said that they were not ruling on the merits of the issue. Of course, it will be litigated further on the merits and potentially wind its way up back to the Supreme Court. But what they're saying here is that no longer will an activist majority simply say, sorry, states, you don't have a compelling interest to protect unborn life. And so for all of us who understand actual science and who have seen the science, who see the strides that we have made in showing how heartbeats are about 5 to 6 weeks after conception.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe today at rumble.com. Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
Any teacher who's taping masks to 9-year-olds' heads should be fired immediately. I mean, that's not I'm not going out on a limb here to say that. You disagree with that? Now, the lunatics who are so mask and vaccine crazed, who are freaking out about 100,000 people in a college football stadium, I'll bet they think that's okay. Well, if the 9-year-old doesn't have his mask on, you got to tape it to his head. Now tape the mask around it so it stays over his mouth and his nose.
few more quick points, and I want to go out with your calls. I appreciate your patience on the line. Listen, basically, this is the deal. There's some overlap because some who have caught COVID went on to get vaccinated, but this still leaves us with 80% of the population that has a level of immunity. The CDC itself has admitted that natural infection almost always causes better immunity than vaccines. This is astounding. This is the stuff you won't hear out of Fauci's mouth. And then, of course, we have the new Israel study that showed that natural immunity to COVID-19 is superior than the vaccine-induced immunity. There was a Cleveland Clinic study that showed basically the same thing, that the natural immunity and vaccine immunity both provide good protection. And then there was natural immunity in that Cleveland study showed that natural immunity lasts or appears to last just as long as the vaccines. So the bottom line is more and more Americans are catching COVID. More and more Americans are being vaccinated. It's time to live your life, people. Guys, we got a very short time, but I want to try to take your calls. Let's go to Dave in Washington. Dave, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You got the mic if you can make it quick.
Hey, Carl, it's tough to make it quick because I needed to verify or go on to something you just mentioned about how many people have actually had it versus confirmed cases, because it's actually more like double the 2.4 number. It's more in the 4 or 5 range, and I would bet anybody want to take on it because I've done like mathematical modeling on it. And the reason that there is cross-population of the two is you have to consider younger people were more likely to get mild symptoms, so you have more of like an 8 to a 10 multiple of confirmed cases to actual cases. But when you get to somebody that's like 80, 90 years old, they were more likely, even in the early going with scarce testing, they were more likely to get tested because they were going to have more severe symptoms. So the scale of the multiple ranges from about 10 all the way down to about 1.5, and the average is about 4.5 to 5. So you really have to add that multiple. We've had herd immunity for about 3 months now, and like you say, we're definitely on the downswing. And real quick, my state, Washington State, is going to fire my wife, 30 years as a nurse, October 18th, because this crazy governor, is not giving any way out, no testing option. And on her floor alone, out of 55 nurses, they have 11 nurses that she knows of for sure are leaving. That's 20% of their floor, and they're already short-staffed.
Dave,
so this crazy state.
Dave, we're out of time. That was an excellent call. Thank you for calling in. I'm so sorry about your wife. We'll have to address that issue. We have time. Gary, I'm sorry, in Arizona we can't get to you, but you say good luck to Governor Larry. Gary, I appreciate you being out there. Perhaps tomorrow, if you can call in tomorrow, because it is going to be a Larry Elder California recall show tomorrow. We'll see you then. Until next time, don't go worry, doing good. God bless.